Okay. What the fuck? Drinker. There's a fucking Deadline article on this. Why are you sourcing fucking Screen Rant when... This drives me nuts. He has fucking a Screen Rant up here when there is a fucking Deadline article on this shit. Fucking Deadline. For fuck's sake. Do these guys even understand their fucking sources? Like, Screen Rant is 99% of the time going to be just reporting on the shit Deadline and Variety and Hollywood Reporter say. Like, you know that, right? For fuck's sake, know what primary sources are, dude. Fucking... What this is teaching me is that Critical Drinker has no fucking idea what a fucking source is or how to fucking properly use them. Just, oh, look, this is a helpful clickbait thing. I'll use that. The fuck, dude? Let's see, did anybody else have a Critical Drinker you want me to hit up? I'm thinking maybe Ahsoka. Oh, we have a Why Modern Movie Suck, Nobody Can Stay Dead. I don't know, he might have an argument there. Although, you know, another thing interesting about his videos is that it's tough for him to actually, like, be completely positive. So, like, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon last weekend. Fucking amazing movie. Loved it. Yes, it is 3.5 hours long. Yes, there should be an intermission, but it wasn't, like, boring whatsoever. Like, it flowed great. But still, he has to do his title. Killers of the Flower Moon. Beautiful, poignant, long. And it's obvious the long's supposed to be a negative when, I'm sorry, it's just a really good movie. It needs an intermission. Like, that's the only complaint I would give it. It needs an intermission. That's it. It's a really fucking good movie. It flows well. The story actually, like, it suits the runtime because it doesn't feel extended or overlong or anything. It just, it tells its story. It's fucking great. Oh, I see it. Request from Marvels. The Marvels, the biggest flop in MCU history. Now, I think it's also worth noting the Marvels is projected to do quite poorly, and it's kind of assumed part of that is because of the strike. Because, like, Barbie and Oppenheimer happened right when the strike started, and, you know, they were, like, the actors and yeah, I guess the actors were able to do a lot of promotion for them going into it, but pretty much once they were released, they couldn't do any more promotion for it. And those were huge box office successes, but it's projected they probably would have even done better if they had the actors out there doing their normal promotion for it. Now, no movie since then has really had a lot of the actors going out and doing the regular promotion, which you can tell in the numbers is really hurting the box office. Box office numbers have not been fucking great since that strike started. It's like you had that Barbenheimer phenomenon, which was huge, and then since then the numbers have been pretty fucking garbage. Like, all the number one movies have been kind of on the low end. Now, will the Marvels be on the low end? It's a strong possibility. But I know lots of these channels are trying to push the idea that somehow the actors not doing these interviews are helping the numbers. Here, let me pull up an article real fast. Because these are guys that should probably be brought up more. Okay, here's the tweet I did on it. Let's see if the image loads. Because it's X. God forbid images load on X. Won't that suck? I'm sorry, Twitter. It's Twitter. Oh my god, why is this not loading? This is ridiculous. This website is garbage. Okay, here we go. So Bounty in Comics was saying, imagine how much lower this would be without the SAG-AFTRA strike. Somehow implying that the strike is increasing sales? Like somehow the box office would be even lower if the strike wasn't going on? Which is insane. I guess it was just a tweet he did. But yeah, this is Bounty into Comics. I guess this was a story. I don't know if that was just not the headline or he just did something different for the tweet. But yes, Bounty into Comics. Fun fact, You if you've seen this channel a lot, you know it's a garbage site, but it's worth repeating. Garbage site. Never take anything they say seriously. They are useless. Just useless. Somehow implying that the box office is doing better because of the strike, which is insane. Although you can already kind of see, like, obviously Oppenheimer's down here and it made a lot. Oh, did Oppenheimer outperform Barbie last weekend? No, Barbie's right above it. Okay. But yeah, like, nothing's really set the box office on fire except for those ones. Ninja Turtles got to 100 million. Cool. Blue Beetle's largely touted as a flop. But yeah, it has outperformed the vast majority of the movies on this list. It's worth saying. So yeah, this idea that the Marvels is going to flop, there's just a good chance it might. It actually might. I don't know if it'll be as big a bomb as they like to make out, but like, maybe it will underperform. But what that shows me is that maybe these studios should come to the table and make a deal with these actors. You know, little things like that. Let's go ahead and dive in. I think I've done enough build up on this one.
You play Captain Marvel for?
I don't know. Does anyone want me to do it again?
No. Wow, it's almost like she got fucking an internet harassment campaign and is just like reflecting that. How dare she? How dare she acknowledge that she got an internet harassment campaign? That fucking bitch. You're supposed to take it in silence. You're not supposed to call out that shit in a goofy joke. I like when these guys make thousands of videos bashing her, and then what? You're surprised when she's like kind of fucking annoyed by it? Yeah, it's fucking annoying. Direct's not a great source. Screen Rant is spotty.
Man, it must be a tough gig.
Hey, I would love to see Daily Wire Snow White get close to those opening weekend numbers.
To be one of the dozen or so people that are still hardcore fans of the MCU these days. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that apart from one or two marginal successes like Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Marvel has been a brand in decline for some time now, and the process only seems to be accelerating as we near the end of...
You know, I kind of hate... So, box office has been having trouble, and there's millions and millions of factors into it. And he's just saying, oh, it's because Marvel's in decline. Probably, we'll see, but I'm sure it'll be because of woke politics or the message or whatever the fuck he's gonna say. But there's so many factors about, like, what's going on right now at the box office. Strike is one. We're still, like, we're not even fully fucking recovered from COVID. We're going through this huge fucking strike. Yes, the writers are back. So post-production and pre-production can happen on movies, but, like, the lion's share of production still can't happen. And that is, if you're ever wondering about shooting anything, the pre-production process is almost certainly going to be your longest. The post-production process can get pretty long. The production process is actually the shortest, but it is the most vital, important part to your movie. That's when everything is shot. And they can't do that. Like, the only stuff they can shoot is stuff that doesn't involve any actors from SAG-AFTRA. Which, pretty much, like, unless you're doing a fucking establishing shot of a building, it's about all you can shoot. And there's so many elements that are just, like, affecting these box office metrics. But you know what? I'm sure he will correct me, and it will just be woke Hollywood.
What's turned out to be a pretty dismal year for superhero movies. Ant-Man 3 was an unmitigated disaster, losing hundreds of millions of dollars for the studio.
I still need a source on that one. Ant-Man made $500 million. Post-pandemic time, that seems decent to me.
while Secret Invasion, a big-budget Disney Plus show featuring what used to be one of the coolest characters in the franchise, was met with resounding indifference, which
Secret Invasion was fucking disappointing as hell. That being said, we don't know the numbers of it. So are we talking like critical successes or box office successes? Are we just going to choose whatever metric fits your narrative? I mean, that seems like what you're doing. Because we don't know if Secret Invasion was in any way a financial success or not. It did actually get a lot of clicks on the internet, so it seemed like some people were watching it to a degree. It wasn't getting the same coverage as She-Hulk, but it was getting solid coverage. So it at least had moderate success. It just, especially the finale, was just fucking weird.
not so neatly along to The Marvels, one of the least anticipated MCU movies of the past several years, and the film that's going to round out a disastrous 2023 for Disney. I mean, right from the beginning.
A disastrous 2023? By the way, like, they keep on wanting to ignore that this movie fucking exists. Like, oh yeah, Disney's bombing. Never mind the fact that Avatar made $2.3 billion. Avatar's Disney now, by the way. Like, that's part of that Fox merger. Disney, in my opinion, has gotten too powerful and has too many fucking movies or franchises under its belt. But anyways, still, even looking at this, we got Guardians 3, we got Little Mermaid, Avatar still on there, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. And Sound of Freedom is so suspicious. Hey, Dial of Destiny is right behind Sound of Freedom. Yeah, this is domestic numbers. Dial of Destiny is not, is outperforming Sound of Freedom by a decent margin worldwide. That's so weird. Anyways, yep. Disney's bombing with Avatar 2: The Way of Water. Fucking bomb.
Beginning, it was pretty obvious that this movie didn't have much to work with, handcuffed as it was to a main character that was once touted as the new face of the Avengers, until Marvel realised that she was about as popular with fans as barbecue ribs at a vegan restaurant. Hence,
you know, they do like to push the idea that she was pushed as, like, the new face of the Avengers. I just remember them pushing that she was going to be the most powerful superhero that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's about it. I don't remember her being the face of the Avengers. I don't think they've really pushed anybody to be the new face of the Avengers.
it's the reason she's barely appeared in anything in the past 4 years. It's a bit like clogging up your friend's toilet.
She's barely appeared in anything in the past 4 years. Wait. Oh, are you talking about Captain Marvel? Like, she's probably done as well as anyone else. Like, she had a cameo in Shang-Chi. What else is she? But, like, yeah, like... Well, like, she had the cameo in Miss Marvel? Like, I'm confused. Like, how many appearances do you want her to have? Because there haven't been Avengers movies, and there haven't been Captain Marvel movies. And she's had a handful of appearances. So it seems like she's doing fine.
After a dodgy kebab, there's only so long you can stall them before they demand to know what the hell you're doing in there. Attempts to dilute the problem by crowbarring in two other characters that most people either didn't know or didn't care about only served to highlight how pointless, directionless, and passionless the whole endeavour felt. Then
crowbar in. You know, Miss Marvel is probably one of the most popular new characters in the comic book. I mean, we don't know numbers for the TV series. I saw it didn't really get much coverage on the internet, which tells me it maybe wasn't great numbers for the TV series, but again, one of the most popular new characters for the comic book. So, cool. And again, you want to talk about, oh, nobody knows these characters? Guardians of the Galaxy 1, man. Guardians of the Galaxy 1. Nobody knew that shit.
Who? Star-Lord, man. Legendary outlaw. Guys, move!
Then came the delays, the revisions, the reshoots, the rumours of tension and explosive conflicts on set, the disastrously bad test screenings, the hiring of an inexperienced...
Did we know about bad test screenings? All I hear are, like, reports of test screenings that were debunked. That's all I've heard so far. Like, what was even your source on that test screening? I mean, it looks like a fucking Screen Rant font, but I don't fucking know because you didn't list it. Okay, let's figure out what his source is. It looks like Screen Rant, but fuck if I know. Oh my god. Okay, so I can't find the exact headline. Let's see. The top result for that headline is Game Rant. Oh, well, there it is. It's just not in the search. The Marvels is reportedly getting some shocking reactions from test screenings. And it's actually worth noting, I don't know what they mean by shocking reactions. Is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. With the film set to premiere later this year, excitement is slowly ramping up, but what viewers can expect when it finally drops, despite the Marvels falling back to a later release date, it seems enthusiasm for the film that may still keep calling Captain Marvel 2 hasn't waned. It probably helps that, along with Brie Larson returning as the titular Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, she'll be joined by two other already beloved stars from recent Marvel Studios offerings. Gee whiz, why didn't you go over this article, Drinker? KC Walsh, who regularly posts insider info, recently made some statements on Twitter to push back against the unfounded claims that the Marvels was doomed from the start. Again, I've heard nothing negative about this production. They said in response to a now-deleted account spewing some uncharitable words about the Marvels. The movie has gotten more positive praise from tests than any other MCU this year. That's a bold claim and still an unsubstantiated one, but perhaps there's something to it. This is his fucking source. My god. He is like the poster boy for fucking read the article, dude. Of course, this all comes from a single source. Even if Walsh does have a decent track record for leaks and scoops, the info about the test screening should be taken with a grain of salt. Yeah, no, it should be taken with a grain of salt, absolutely. But that story does not tell what he wants. And then here from the direct, which is a kind of a fuzzy. It's not a source I trust whatsoever. Captain Marvel 2 gets exciting news from test screenings. Marvel Studios reportedly conducted screenings for test audiences of November's Marvels, and the resulting feedback turned out to be quite interesting from MCU fans. Even though Captain Marvel 2 was delayed till November this year, knocking it from its July release date, fans are still very excited. The Marvels gets positive test screening reactions. This is reporting on the same person, KC Walsh. And is this the same thing from We Got This Covered, which fucking garbage. So We Got This Covered is not a chud site. It is a we will post fucking anything we want if it will get a click site. They are fucking worthless. But just like, even here, Brie Larson lovers breathe a sigh of relief. The Marvel's test screenings declare it one of the year's best. I think it's interesting. Like, even the article you're sourcing, Critical Drinker, doesn't say what you say it says. Just interesting.
The hiring of an inexperienced director with a
Nia DaCosta. Like, I thought she, like, had some experience. And, like, okay, so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and establish some stuff. So Marvel is a big studio. For franchise projects like this, they like to pull people who haven't had a ton of work experience. Okay, maybe that's not right. It's not a ton of work experience, but people who haven't been established. People who are not established names. Why do they do this? Because they can control them better. Now, this is, like, that sucks, but also there are advantages to this, because if they get this job and they do a really good job, then that can start getting them as like a popular name that people know, and then they can start building their reputation on this. So, like this, oh, they're pulling an unknown name. Yeah, it's a fucking big studio with a big franchise. Of course they are. That's what they do. But I'm pretty sure, like, Nia DaCosta seems like a familiar name. Like, I'm not super familiar, but, like, doesn't seem like a nobody. I haven't seen the new Candyman. So I don't know. Is that any good? Have you guys seen it? Oh, yeah, I think I've looked her up. You know what? Because I've looked over Marvel shit. I'm remembering looking her up for Marvel shit. Because I remember the Little Woods and shit like that. I know these movies because I've looked her up before. God damn it. That is just my failing memory. But yeah, this is somebody that studios will probably die for. Because if they do a movie and they're able to make the movie, and here's the deal, like when they're looking at people making the movie, they're looking at people who make a movie that brings in a decent amount of money that is made for its budget. That's what the studio wants. They're looking at the fucking money. And hopefully they're a good artist, but that's like an extra for the studio. It's not a necessity. It's all about the money to them. Spoiler.
A grand total of one mid-budget movie to her name who made baffling statements like, this movie is going to be totally different from the rest of the MCU because it's really wacky and silly. Or, sometimes you'd be in a scene and you'd be like, what the hell does any of this shit mean?
So she's making a lighter toned movie? Like, that's what that reads. Like, I love how they try to make a fucking story out of clickbait sites and garbage. I hate to tell you this, Drinker, but when your sources are what I just looked through, you don't have sources. You have garbage.
No kidding, Nia. I often find myself asking the same thing with
Was her Candyman good? I need to watch Candyman movies.
pretty much every Marvel project these days.
If nothing else, I need to watch them just because Tony Todd's awesome.
The difference between us is that I'm not supposed to be directing one of these fucking things. But hey, who knows?
What did she say that made you think she couldn't do it? Like, just that it was goofy? 'Cause what's wrong with that? Oh, I know. Like, I know the MCU has never ever dove into, like, lighter moments or sillier stuff. Like, what I love about the first Ant-Man movie was how just dark and fucking gritty that is. Like, that is, like, the grittiest thriller you've ever seen in your life. Like, that was insane. Dude, like, MCU does fucking light shit all the time. Come on, get a grip.
Maybe the film would turn out to be a big hit at the box office. I mean, shit, man, the first one made over $1 billion, so there's no reason the sequel couldn't equal that.
Well, actually, we've gone over this before, too. It's actually very uncommon for sequels to outperform the original. It does happen. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's actually not super common.
Oh. So, the box office projections of...
And I want to stress, especially with, I'm brain farting. Especially post-pandemic. It's tough for post-pandemic movies to approach the pre-pandemic numbers. You know what? What are the sources for the projections? Because he's using Screen Rant, which isn't, like, amazing. Like, Screen Rant's not the worst source ever, but I would want a secondary source for a Screen Rant article. Okay. What the fuck? Drinker! There's a fucking Deadline article on this. Why are you sourcing fucking Screen Rant when... This drives me nuts. He has a fucking Screen Rant up here when there is a fucking Deadline article on this shit. Fucking Deadline. For fuck's sake. Do these guys even understand their fucking sources? Like, Screen Rant is 99% of the time going to be just reporting on the shit Deadline and Variety and Hollywood Reporter say. Like, you know that, right? For fuck's sake, know what primary sources are, dude. Fucking... What this is teaching me is that Critical Drinker has no fucking idea what a fucking source is or how to fucking properly use them. Just, oh, look, this is a helpful clickbait thing. I'll use that. The fuck, dude?
Come in for the Marvels, and they're not looking good. In fact, that's putting it mildly. If they're...
Oh, Screen Geek. Oh, boy, that's a big source, too. Like, whatever you do, don't cite Deadline. Because then your audience might actually know what decent sources are.
Correct? Then this movie's got about as much chance of turning a profit as a holiday park in Chernobyl. According to Box Office Pro, the Marvel's early box office projection.
You just said Box Office Pro. Why are you sourcing Screen Rant? Oh my god. Okay, like, I haven't even heard of Box Office Pro. What the fuck is Box Office Pro? Let's bring that up. In case you guys are wondering, Box Office Pro is a site that's taking a while to load. Oh, Jesus Christ. Like, there's a third image I isn't loading? Jesus, this is a slow site. Looks great. Looking great. Alright, so the Marvels. Where do you pull this from? Okay, so October 12th, long range box office. The fuck website is this, dude? Jesus Christ. Like, pros and cons? This is garbage. I'm sorry, this is fucking garbage.
Projections are 72% worse than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a film which went on to make less than $500 million globally.
You're literally just putting the numbers up. It made less than it made less than $500 million globally. What a fucking bomb. What a fucking bomb. Oh my god. $500 million? Fuck. Okay, bomb. Fucking bomb. Garbage.
Nowhere near its break-even point. Its opening weekend is expected to generate between 50 and 75 million domestically, less than half of what Captain Marvel did. Pre-sales are down 69% behind Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and 72% behind Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Not exactly good news. And it's not like this was a cheap movie to make either. In fact, the final production budget comes in at just shy of 200.
You know, that's something they've been talking about, how like a lot of these movies are just getting made for, and they're costing way too much money, and they're and the idea is like, because they're costing so much money, there's more studio oversight, it's getting micromanaged more, and yeah, it's making more milquetoast product. Yeah, I mean, that's an issue. It's also something that the strikes aren't directly going to fix, but like, it seems like they will be addressing them.
$75 million, making it easily one of the most expensive movies in MCU history. I mean, with CGI this good, what else could you expect?
Is that okay? We're gonna do a Rings of Power. So this is fine. Like, it's not thrilling, but it's fine. Like, I feel like you're just saying it's bad just to say it's bad. It's fine. I mean, it's blurred and shit. It looks fine.
Expect.
Oh, Galadriel made a silly face while riding a horse in Rings of Power. Oh, you owned him, Drinker. Well done. All my arguments have just been debunked. Good job.
Just as a little comparison though, I'd like to point out that The Creator was made on a budget of just 80 million. Either way, when you factor in the costs of marketing, promotion and distribution, you're looking at close to $800 million just to break even.
I need a source, dude. And not the sources you've been citing. Like, seriously, just 800 million to break even. Fucking hell. Just pull numbers out of your ass and say it needs that. No, I don't think it needs 800 million. I think it needs 2.6 billion to break even. That's my prediction.
Something tells me this movie is not going to make $800 million. I mean, shit, man, they'll probably save a bit of money on the press tour because it's looking increasingly likely that the actors' strike could drag on until the end of the year, but something tells me that's not going to be enough to tip the scales in this case. But Drinker, you rapacious rapscallion.
Oh my god. Barbie's available on digital. Why are you using this shitty looking version? This looks awful. What the fuck? Grab trailer footage, you lazy fuck.
I hear you say, Barbie was all about female empowerment just like Captain Marvel, and that film went on to be the biggest hit of the entire year. Surely the Marvels will ride the girl power wave all the way to the bank just like its predecessor. Well, advocate for the devil, I'd pump the brakes on that kind of enthusiasm if I were you. Regardless of its artistic merits, of which there are few in my opinion, Barbie was a huge hit because it successfully tapped into the elusive female market in a way that Marvel never can, taking the quintessential female toy toy that almost every woman in the Western world has played with at one time or another and adapting it into a movie told from an unapologetically feminine perspective. It worked because it captured an audience that's been largely starved of content tailor.
This is a movie that he went fucking apeshit on, I just want to say. Like, he's talking about, oh, you know, this was a movie that came out at the perfect time. And it's like, this is a movie that he, like, that video of his was insane on this movie. It was some toxic shit.
Made for them for almost 10 years now. What studios have tried to do instead is to bend other genres and franchises around them rather than making stuff that's tailor-made for them in the first place. For example, Marvel's core audience was, and always will be male.
So how dare they branch out? I hate this argument. Oh, you know, their core audience is male, so they can't try to have a woman audience as well? Like, what's wrong with branching out? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I know a few people are gonna lose their minds because I said that, and yeah, I know there's still plenty of girls.
Dude, so Marvel is allowed to have different movies that are set up for different audiences. Like you realize, like, Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man was like a heist movie. Like, all these movies have different styles, and now they're expanding those styles to also involve just like people who aren't white men. And I don't see a problem with that. And I'm really trying to not call you at least an asshole for trying to claim that there is an issue with that.
Out there who enjoy superhero movies too, but when you get right down to it, the bulk of Marvel's fan base is composed of men, and their increasingly ham-fisted attempts to pander to a female audience over the past few years hasn't won them the new fans they expected.
Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
All it's really done is alienate the ones they already had, because they're
not really. What it's done is alienate the ones who are like you and just get pissy every time you see a woman do something tough.
They're no longer giving them what they want. That is why more and more of their movies are failing. That's why nobody gives a shit about their TV shows anymore. That is why The Marvels was doomed before they even shot a single frame. Not just because of the unpopular main characters, not just because of the inexperienced director or the bloated and ridiculous budget, not just because of the general malaise around superhero movies as the genre enters its twilight years, but because they already pushed away the very people who once supported.
Yeah, that is true. Expanding your audience is woke shit. You're right.
Them so fervently. They insisted on making more and more projects that they felt audiences needed.
I love how so far his example of more and more projects has literally just been Captain Marvel. Like, that's the only example he cited so far.
Instead of listening to what they actually wanted. And to be honest, I've got absolutely no sympathy for them because they brought this on themselves. They sowed the very seeds of their own failure, and well, now it's time to reap their rewards. Anyway.
So guys, we're going to ignore the fact that the box office still hasn't recovered from the pandemic. We're going to ignore the issues with bloated box office budgets. We're going to ignore the issues with actors getting underpaid, writers getting underpaid. We're going to ignore the strikes. We're going to ignore all that because the reason Marvel's is going to flop is it doesn't star white men. That is a brilliant fucking analysis, dude. Fucking banger.
That's all I've got for today. Go away now. Fucking
banger. Jesus. That one was just really bad. God, that whole video was like a lesson on how, like, to cherry pick your sources to come up with the narrative you want. Like, he's talking about how the Marvels, like, has the worst test screenings, and I can't even find a fucking source saying it's the worst test screenings. Well, all I found was a source saying it was good. It's not reliable, but, like, that's not, like, disastrous test screenings. You have fucking nothing. Nothing. Oh, and you went to Box Office Pro for a box office analysis. A website that barely fucking runs. Great. Great researching skills. Thank you, Critical Drinker. Thank you, Will Jordan. You're amazing.
Books, records, films, these things matter. Call me shallow. It's the fucking truth.